I read a book this past week.
Okay.
They put out
We never do book talks.
They
This
put
is why
out-
we do new book talks.
They put out a Back to the Future book, The Ultimate Visual History, I think is what it's called.
Picture
And
book.
it kind of came out with no fanfare, but it's funny when you read the intro to it. Bob Gale, who's a producer and writer on Back to the Future, says this book has taken 25 years to come out.
Wow, why?
When we were working on the sequels, had so much material, and we thought we should put out just a big ass coffee table book of all the draw sketches and photos and things we have in the making of all the Back to the Future movies. We should put that book out. And he's like, every year we've pitched this to Universal or whoever, and they go, nah, nobody cares. And he said, and it took that future date to happen. October 21st or whatever.
Yeah.
Finally Universal went, ew, let's put some stuff out for Back to the Future Day. What should we put out? And they were like, how about this book we've been talking about for 25 years? Do you want to release that? Yeah, sure. And so he's like, so here it is. It's like it took that long to... So it's worth checking out because it is really from the horse's mouth. It's their story. It's the production of everything to do with Back to the Future, good and bad. And that's what I love, is when they don't hold back the bad. Half the book is them shooting with Eric Stoltz as Marty McFly. And it is how Eric Stoltz would push Biff in one scene. He'd push him back and was pushing Biff so hard that Tom Wilson pleaded to him on set, do not push me that hard. You're bruising me and I have marks on me. And he kept doing it.
What the fuck?
Yeah, it was the scene where Eric Stoltz as Marty first goes Back to the Future, comes out of the diner and has no idea what's going on and stumbles over a car. There's a scene where he kind of trips over a car and it's an old 50s car, and Eric Stoltz goes, I don't think Marty would trip. I think he's really respectful of this time period, and he would really just, be in awe of all of it. And it was like something like that every take, where it was like, all right. And they said, and basically they say, they'd put up with that if his performance was amazing, but he had no chemistry. He was just like cool dude on his own. And they were like, something's not working. And they watched it with Spielberg, and he's like, yeah, man, you got a great story. Something's not working. I don't know what it is. And they were like, do you think it's Marty? It might be, but I don't know. And they were like, well, our first pick was Michael J. Fox, but he's so busy with Family Ties, we can't get him. And they were like, I'd talk to him again. And they did, and Michael J. Fox was like, hey, I read the script. I'll work nights. I'll come off the set at 5 p.m. and I'll work till 2 in the morning and wake up again at 5 a.m. and do... I'm willing to do that. I think
awesome.
this is going to be the biggest movie. I want to do it. And Steven Spielberg producing it.
Yeah.
Okay, fine, let's try that out. And they said it was like discovering magic. When he came on set, and Christopher Lloyd talks about it, he goes, I didn't think there was anything wrong with Eric Stoltz. Eric Stoltz was Marty McFly. He came and did his thing, and I was the wacky professor. What's wrong? I'm not a director. I don't know. And he's like, and so, I filmed the scene with Eric Stoltz. They did the scene in the mall parking lot. And then the next night, we got rid of him. Here's Michael J. Fox. Let's do it again.
Oh, fuck.
And they said, it's so funny, because the night before, Robert Zemeckis knew what was going to happen.
Oh, fuck.
And they said, so it was all close-ups on Christopher Lloyd. All right, Doc, you say that. Oh, Marty, you don't want to have the dog in there, whatever. So don't we want to get a close-up of Marty McFly?
Not right now.
It's so important. It's so important that Christopher Lloyd says this. You want to stay on him. Okay, you want. They said it was all that, and then the next day everyone understood. But anyway, so Marty McFly's on set, and Christopher Lloyd's like, "What's wrong with that guy? I don't know, whatever." And they said they hit record, and it was. Doc, you're telling me you built a time machine? Yes, Marty. He said it was like this limitless well of energy that we were improvising and yelling stuff at each other and making each other laugh. And he's like, Christopher Lloyd is saying, when we hit cut, it was like, oh my God, that's what this movie was going to say. We were saying lines before, and now here's this guy, and we are killing this movie, and it was everyone could just tell.
That's awesome.
It was really interesting. So anyway, the whole book is super fascinating.
That is really interesting.
Good and bad. There's a lot of shit about Crispin Glover.
Oh yeah.
The difficulties with him, and
it's sequel.
It's a really good book.
Michael J. Fox was like my first hero when I was a kid. I loved
Alex
Ties,
P.
and Alex P. Keaton was my hero. I loved him.
There are a couple really sad moments in the book. And it's really interesting because they have interviews with him today for the book.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting because they talk to him about, he did the original Back to the Future, Johnny Be Good, Johnny Be Good, playing the thing. And they said it was so trippy filming the sequel because it was 4 years later. And all right, here's a scene where you go back to this. And they were all just mind blown by that. Like, whoa, we're going back to this. And it was like, okay, we're going to put you on stage. Here's your old costume. We found it. There's the monitor. Watch the movie again and do it again. And it was like, he's like, can anybody else say that? Like when they film a movie, it's like, okay, you have to go back to where this all started. So he's like, so it was really trippy. And he's like, what was hard though is that he's like, it was 4 years later, and he's like, I could not move as good. It was like, yeah, doing this, and it's like, man, I'm getting fucking old. I'm getting old here, you know. It's like, you know, he's such a spry young kid, and he's like. That was the beginning of Parkinson's.
Wow.
He's like, I think back, and it all matched up perfectly. I was having muscle issues. I was having whatever. And he's like, and now, looking back through those glasses, I see it all.
Wow.
Playing Johnny Be Good, I couldn't do it as well. It was that. He's like, I remember falling in Back to the Future 3, like off a horse or whatever, and like, yeah, my arm, I mean, I can't really control that arm, but, you know, I fell. And it's like, no, a person should be able to control their arm. You know, he's like, I think back to all these excuses I was making. I had Parkinson's, and it was the beginning of it.
That's
and
really
sad.
It's yeah.
Bummer. You really, that's a tough note to end the podcast on.
Real quick, now that we're on the after show, I just want to say something about saying more about the Back to the Future thing. What's really interesting in that book is they talk about doing part 3, and they said, you know, they were more happy with how the other ones turned out, obviously, but
shit,
dude, come on.
Sorry.
I know it's your birthday, but like,
Eric.
What?
Stop talking.
but they talked about just filming a Western. And they said, you know, we realized why people like to film Westerns. They said that was the most fun we've ever had. What's that?
They're fun and easy.
They said it was the most fun. Yeah. Like Robert Zemeckis said, he's like, you know, Back to the Future 3 is not like a standout movie to me in my catalog.
I agree.
But he said it was the most fun ever. Because, you know what it was? He said...
I'll tell you why they're easy real quick.
Yeah.
The Western, the entire city is one street. It's the mayor's, like, city hall over here, the bar's down there, hotel on that side, stables are over there. So anything you need to film is, like, you're not running around the city getting locations, and everything else is out in the wilderness. It's very low-tech.
Yeah.
The amount of effort you need to put in and the amount of exciting story you get out is, like, easy.
And so what was interesting...
Good? Go ahead. I'm going to go pee, too. Now. So save the good parts till I get back.
Well, I was just going to say, what they said was so fun about doing Back to the Future 3 was exactly what he said. It was in a more simplistic kind of setting. They actually, Universal built a whole town way out in the country, you know, whatever, and they built the sets within the buildings. It was 100% the way it was. It wasn't like, okay, they go in and we go to a sound stage. It was all within. So that kept things real simple. Okay, he walks in the saloon, let's follow him in the saloon. Okay,
right.
Yeah, you know. But they said it was so much fun, the most fun movie to make ever, because one, cast is mostly men, and everybody in, all men look good and feel good in those clothes.
That's fun.
He's like, you make he's like the whole cast. Men feel good in those clothes. They're in the cowboy outfit. They got the hat. They got the coat. They all got guns. They got whatever. He's like, everyone walked around just like, yeah, how you doing? How are you doing? Okay, yeah, you know, everyone. The camaraderie was really great. Everyone felt like they were really cool. Right. You know. So that, and he's like, we stayed out so far out somewhere that we camped. So
it was a big camping trip.
They said it was a big camping trip. You slept under the stars at night. You woke up. They said there was no sound for miles. It was quiet. You'd see the stars. He said it was just he's like, you couldn't ask for a more fun experience filming a movie than that. So anyway, yeah. So it was just cool. They talked about the experience of doing it. So they said it was super easy. You know, filming it that way, production-wise, once they had everything built, it was cake.
Yeah.
So they said, so it encouraged them to kind of challenge things in a different way. And something I never noticed in the third movie, and they talk about it in the book, because they had it so easy out there, they said, well, let's challenge ourselves with more complex shots. And I never realized this, but there's a scene when they're in Doc's laboratory and they're trying to decide, like, how are we going to get... We can't get the DeLorean to 88 miles an hour. And you know, they try to devise the way by doing it by train.
Right.
They're in the laboratory talking about that stuff. It's all one take. They're all talking about it. And he's like, how can we figure something like that out? And they walk by the window, and he's like, yeah, surely there's something that could speed us up. Man, as he says that, the train in the distance just... I mean, it is in the mountains, pulls up. After an 8-minute dialogue, like, talking about it, the train in the distance finally goes by. That's it! Marty, that's it! It was such an undertaking to time their conversation with a legit... And it was an 1890 steam train.
Oh my god.
That was still in use.
Damn.
And to get that to go by off in the distance.
Line slow at all, or you...
Too fast. Yeah.
And they did, I think, a couple times, like... They flubbed the line the first time, and it was
multiple takes.
4 hours of setup, and it was, okay, we gotta get the train to get back.
What a fucking needless problem to have.
But they said, but you know, they said we had nothing but time in the wilderness, and everything was turned out so good, effortlessly, that they thought, well,
let's make it hard for ourselves.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway.
This should be difficult.
Because Back to the Future 2 was non-stop effects and this and that, whatever. That 3, they said we were so amped up by 2 that when we started on 3, it was like,
we can chill.
This is it, yeah.
We can camp.
So, anyway, just kind of cool. It was an interesting book.
That's pretty interesting.
I gotta rewatch those. I bought that Blu-ray box set.
Yeah.
And I have not.
That first one's my favorite movie of all
I
time.
haven't opened it.